What is going on, guys, and welcome to CSS tutorial. In this video we're going to still continue to look at how we can actually place elements horizontally and vertically, and this is going to be a little bit of recap video because we have covered it, but I always think that it's better to recap instead of just forget about it and then 2 weeks later try to find out again how it was done, right? So the first thing we're going to do, again, we're just going to create a div over here, and I'm just going to say the width of the div is going to be, let's say again, 100 pixels over here, and the height is going to be another 100 pixels like this over here, and then I'm going to say that border is going to be, I don't know, 2 pixels solid black over here like this. So this is my div, and what I want to show you is, well, what we have already covered is that if we use the position over here, and if we say that this is going to be position is going to be absolute, we can basically start rolling around how we want this this, let's say in this case, box, how we can move it whatever we want. So if I say top over here, and if I'm going to say, I don't know, 30 pixels, and if I'm going to say, I don't know, left, then we can move, like, I don't know, let's say another 20 pixels, right? So you can see how my box is pretty much, I can move it however I want. And another thing that I just want to go over that we already covered, that if, let's say, I would over here, if I would create a div and I would actually place the first div inside the other one. So I'm just going to cut this and paste it over here. And you can see right now that I have, because I have both of them the same name, I have no difference. So what I would need to do over here is, obviously I would need to add an ID. Let's say it's going to be 1, and this is going to be a second one, ID, and this is going to be second. So what we would need to do is go back to main, and over here we would have to set it that it is for the second, and like this over here. So now this is the second div that we're interested, or in general we could just write second like this, and it would work the same way. And if we would create this first div, and if we would say that, let's say that this is going to be, I don't know, the width is going to be like 100%, right? But if we would set a position for this div to be absolute, to be relative over here, and if we would set it, the height over here, let's say to be like 300 pixels, and then again border we would set to like 2 pixels solid red. So we can remember that now we can pretty much dance around with this box over here, the one that's absolute. We can just go around here wherever we want, and the reason for that is that we can actually you can see that this relative box, because the position is relative, it's actually holding this absolute box within these grounds, right? If it wouldn't be for this box, we could technically with this black box go wherever we want, but because we have this like div with the red borders, it's actually holding this black box in this position, right? So if you're making like a banner or something, it's kind of interesting what you can do over here. And the last thing that we want to do over here in this video, I'm just gonna delete this so it's not in my way, but I'm gonna go to index over here, and I'm just gonna get rid of these divs. And the next thing that we want to do is actually create a div that's going to be floating around, and in this case I'm just going to be a little bit smarter, I guess, and I'm just going to create right away ID. And again, I'm just going to say 1, and again I'm just going to go with a quick edit and add a new rule, and let's say I'm going to say that it's going to be floating. It's going to be floating to the left, and over here I'm just going to say that I want a width, and I just forgot the semicolon over here, but here's width, and let's say the width would be, I don't know, again like 50 pixels like this, and the height is going to be also 50 pixels like this. So this is my small box. Solid border, so let's say border is going to be 2 pixels solid black over here like this, and my typing is terrible as always, and you can see that right now we have this little box, right? However, when we are floating it's actually very smart if we would set the whole margins and paddings on the body to be 0, so we're actually, it doesn't interfere with how we're working right now over here, and it would be all the same for all the browsers where you're actually, where your web page is going to be rendered. So let's say if I'm going to save this over here, and if I go over here, and if I also use the quick edit and create a new rule on the body, and what I would do over here, I would just say that body, and I would say that I want margin to be 0. So you can see that right away it floats wherever we want, because there's a difference for some browsers where the margins would be in paddings. So you always just want to set the body, so you are the one who's controlling where this element would be, not the fact that let's say different browser would have a different margin, right? And over here I also right away would set a padding to 0, just in case. So when we save this, you can see that right away how I can float my element, and I have, well, I was able to float it before, however now I have way more control, because it's not going to depend on some default margins or paddings in different browsers. This is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.